So I want to tell you a little story in today's Sarah Uncut. About 4 years ago, there were a group of about 10 of us girlfriends, and we all decided to get super healthy and fit. And I think out of all of us, we all lost around 25 to 30 pounds together. All these years later, there's only 2 who've actually kept all of it off. Why? What is the difference between someone who sets a goal and maintains that goal and someone who sets a goal, hits it, and then slides back? Oh, we're going to get into that in today's Sarah Uncut. Okay, so I used weight in this first story. I don't really care about that, like whatever. It was just a really interesting moment for me in my own life. And I have to be honest, as I was constructing the curriculum for the Abundance Academy, I interviewed the 2 friends. I was like, what do you think has changed? Why do you think you were able to maintain this massive life change? Because it is a life change, right? And that's why so many people can't stick to it. But it doesn't have to be just weight or fitness, right? This could be about money. It could be about your business. This could be about returning customers, right? People who tend to come back over and over to you. Why? What are you doing differently with them that you're not doing with others who come in once and leave? Sometimes maybe they're not a good fit, but I bet if you dive in, you're probably doing something different. It's so cool for us to be able to investigate this. And it's a question that's always, to be honest, been at the back of my head. Like as a little girl, I would watch some people succeed financially and be able to maintain that, whereas other people would succeed financially for a minute or 2 and then go bankrupt. What is that? What happens? Well, this is actually an interesting phenomenon I've been talking about a little bit more in Coffee with Coach. So if you've missed a couple of those, you can go back and snag them. But it's a conditioning. That's what it is. It's a conditioning. What do I mean by that? Let's say you decide you want to run a marathon. How long does that decision take? What is that? Setting that goal, what was that, 2 seconds? I'm going to run a marathon. Okay, maybe 3 seconds, depending on how quickly you speak, right? Like, that's not hard. Anyone can declare that. That takes nothing. But you don't declare you're going to run a marathon and then go run around the block one time and think you're prepared. That's not going to work, right? You're going to like die the day of the marathon. You're going to be like, okay, I'm on mile 1, I'm out, peace, right? Like that's not how that works. What do you have to do once you've set the goal? You have to condition yourself to be able to achieve the goal. So it's that conditioning ongoingly over time that allows you to completely transform the muscles in your legs, your cardiovascular system, your mental capacity to be able to do the thing you said you wanted to do. That takes months, and it's conditioning. It's not just a decision. So when I interviewed my 2 girlfriends about this, I was like, what happened? What changed? They did something really cool that I've been talking to a lot of people about recently. And this is not mine, by the way. This was originated by Mr. Tony Robbins way back when. The idea is that you create a state change. What the heck is a state change? It means you change your mood. What do we usually go to when we want to change our state? Right? Games, quick games that give us dopamine hits. Some of you like to go to social media, click on those little red circles, or maybe check your email, or maybe you go in a cycle. We were talking about that in the sprints last week where we had someone who's like, I don't understand. I go in a cycle. It's not like I got new emails 2 minutes later, but I go to Instagram, then I go back to my email, then I go to Facebook, then I go to LinkedIn, and then I go back to email. She's like, it's not like anything's changing. What's she doing? She's dopamine seeking. She's trying to change her state. What are other ways that we choose to change our state? It's not pretty, right? Drinking totally changes your state. Eating. You ever have that feeling like when your stomach's full and you go, oh, that's better. It changes your state. A cup of coffee in the morning changes your state. So when I was interviewing these women, I said, what do you think you do differently now? And it's interesting. Both of them said the same thing. Is like, I'll find myself in front of the pantry and I have to move myself. I'll just change my environment. I was like, oh my God, they're changing their states. They didn't call it that, but I was like, oh, that's so cool. They were doing what I've been studying, which is they changed their state. They changed the environment. They moved. They shifted what was happening. And as I've been working with people on this, what I've discovered is that you can do this at any time. So if you're sitting down, stand up. If you're standing up, sit down. If you're in one room, change rooms. And what can happen really quickly is you've just changed your state. Now, what does this have to do with conditioning? In the moment, so let's say you've decided you really want to increase the revenue in your business, and you have a list of revenue producing tasks, maybe calling people who've worked with you in the past. Maybe you need to send out more emails. Maybe you're creating a new way to package your offers so that more people can consume them faster and be able to get results. Maybe you've decided on a new advertising campaign, but you're really scared to launch it, right? So you have this list of revenue producing tasks and you go to do them, and what's your state going to be? Maybe you're a little bit nervous. Maybe you're excited. If you are, great, take advantage of that. Maybe you find your mind starting to wander about the dishes that aren't done or the laundry that needs to get done. Like your brain starts to move because it's like, I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to do this. So I'm going to go do something else. In that moment, that's the same as you standing in front of the pantry. Because standing in front of the pantry, right, for these friends and just eating because they were nervous or upset or didn't know what to have for dinner, or they hadn't planned things out, they have to change their state or the old behavior is going to come back and rob them of their goal. Right? So it's the same for you. In that moment, maybe you're trying new revenue producing tasks. Maybe you hate sales calls and you have this idea that sales calls are really awful and yucky. You've got to change your state before you get on a sales call. Maybe you do jumping jacks. Maybe you make yourself laugh. Maybe you watch something funny. Maybe you have a beautiful cup of tea. Maybe you journal for a second, but you got to change your state in order to keep this going. And what you're doing every time you change your state before you take an action is you are conditioning yourself to be successful at this thing. Isn't that cool? Now, it takes time. This is not magical thinking. You know, I'm not one of those coaches who's like, just try this one thing and then magically I'll be better. Yeah, we don't do that here. We do real stuff for real women in real business. And it takes time, right? It's going to take a little bit of conditioning. You don't expect to go one time and run a marathon. You don't expect to do one sales call or run one set of ads or do one newsletter. And all of a sudden your entire business is going to change. That we're not 5. We don't have magical thinking anymore, right? Now we're actually looking at what behaviors are going to get me the result that I want. And how do I make sure I'm in the right state of mind when I am acting in those behaviors? So really the magic of the moment, if there is any magic, is in the present moment. It's when you choose to sit down and do the work, or stand up if you need, right? And do the work that you know will actually change your trajectory. So when you are in the proverbial pantry, right? You're standing there in front of the pantry, you're about to take yourself off course. You've got to recognize that. You've got to change your state. And then you've got to associate the pleasure of hitting that goal and keeping that change in place. You've got to associate that pleasure to the task you're about to do. And I have a challenge for you today. All right. I want you to pick one task you know you need to do that will get you closer to a goal that you've set. For you, it might be going around the block and taking a little walk. It might be taking a nap because you haven't been taking care of your body. It could be having a really healthy lunch. It might be following up on a call you had last week that didn't go so well, but you know that you could really help this person. I want you to pick something you've kind of been avoiding. I want you to, first of all, check your state, right? Am I in the right state of mind to do this? If not, what do I need to get in the right state of mind? Choose something healthy. Maybe it's a nice deep breath. Maybe it's a quick walk around your living room, something that'll help you like, oh, okay, I'm the boss now. And then what we want to do is we want to associate the pleasure of achieving the goal with the action you're about to take. So I want you to put yourself in the moment of success. I do this with you a lot, right? Like put yourself in that moment like, holy crap, you guys, I did it. Oh my gosh, I did it. 7 figures, 30 pounds, the next sales call, whatever it is, like, oh my God, I did it. I did it. I did it. Feel that pleasure, feel that moment of success, and understand that the action you're about to take will be directly connected to that feeling of success. And then get to work. I'll see you guys next time.